We're on in 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, Paisan? The 10th ever episode of Cess Says. I'm Danny Cess. This is Cess Says. Buckle up, baby. It is week 13, the last week of the fantasy regular season. Boy, do we have a good show for you today. Let's start with Tom, like every other episode in 2016 so far. Still at the top. He has officially won the regular season. Hats off to you, kid. Now, the 1 seed going into the playoffs has been knocked out right after the bye week 4 years in a row. Tommy now is going to try to end that streak, and he has 2 weeks to rest up A.J. Green. Does not really have to worry about winning this week. He's already won the $300 cash prize. He gets the bye, more importantly, and now he has to rest up with 15 in his sights. The next place, the number 2 seed, is the Seskins, who have now won 5 straight since the rant. Now, to get an idea of how tight things are in this league right now, the Seskins win and clinch a second seed bye, or lose, put up a bad amount of points, and they could not even make the playoffs. There are 8 teams here at 6-6. That's the 6-6 mix. So let's talk about some of these teams. I think Brad is in a really good position here. He's got the most points. It's an even-numbered year, just so you know. 2012, Brad wins the regular season. 2013, dead last. 2014, goes to the Super Bowl. 2015, does not make the playoff. It's an even year. Brad, gonna make the playoffs, hopefully with a win. We'll see what happens. UmanOFF is in a good situation here. He gets to play Jude, who hasn't won since September. Kerens has a good amount of points. He's in a probable win and in situation. Tabor and Swikata, they're going to play each other. 2 6-6 teams playing each other. They're probable win and in situations. And then you have White, Iger, Berzik. They probably have a tougher scenario of the 6-6 teams. They need to win. Probably have things break the right way. Burrs has the least amount of points. He probably needs to put up a decent amount. White is playing Bo. He's a big underdog, as Kamish put in the power rankings this week. And Iger just needs to win and put up a good amount of points. Also worth noting, Zach here is 5-7. He is not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but he needs to probably score about 200 points and win and have everything break his way. So it's possible. It's possible. I've seen crazier things happen, but not likely. So what I wanted to do was look at all the scenarios and tell you how teams can get in, but mathematically it was impossible to guess how many points people would put up. So I will need some help in breaking down and talking about these playoff scenarios. So to bring in some fantasy gold, I looked at the periodic table of elements. AU is the symbol for gold. Adam UmanOFF, 2015 champ. Let's get him on the webcam. Okay, on the webcam, we have Adam UmanOFF. Adam, you can hear me?
I sure can. How we doing?
Wow, he's even got the trophy. Okay, so now you know I was not lying. This is the 2015 champ, and he's boasting with the trophy. How's it going, Adam?
You know, I'm doing real well. Really, really happy to be here. I think congratulations are in order. This is the 10th episode of Cess Says. It is such an absolute value add to the league, something that we look forward to week in and week out. Can't tell you how much we appreciate the work you put in. So, well done and congratulations.
Hey, you guys are a great group of coaches that always make some time for me, and I appreciate that. So I am very happy to have last season's champ here. Let's go through some of the past. In the last 3 seasons, Adam, you have 2 regular season titles
and last year's Super Bowl trophy and, what is that, $2,400 over the last 3 years. Congrats on dominating these coaches over the last couple of years.
Hey, you know what? Really appreciate it. Nothing can be taken for granted in this league. One of the most competitive leagues I play in. It really comes down to preparation and disciplined drafting. I've been lucky to be able to put that out over the last couple seasons.
Yeah, so that's well done. But so this year, the first 5 weeks of the season, you start off 1-4. Now, in the last 7 weeks, you've won 5 of the last 7, and you've put yourself back into the playoff picture. And I got to give some credit here to the Swike Monkey, who on the last time we had a show, we interviewed him. And can we roll that clip, please? Yeah, roll that clip.
He started off 1-3, but that was a 1-3 Brady-less UmanOFF's team. Since then, he's gone on to decimate his teams. I really like what he's done. He's the hottest team by far in our league.
I got to tell you, Swike's absolute stand-up guy, absolute man's man, and you got to give him some credit for foresight here. I mean, he saw this coming. We were lucky to have a strong core of this team coming out of the draft, but to this point, I didn't necessarily expect to be here at the end. So heads up for Swikes for being able to pick that one out.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the draft. You go and you hit an absolute home run with McCoy. Some people were a little bullish on him. You get Tom Brady late. Ingram has had some really monster weeks. Then you add Jimmy Graham, basically stealing him from Jude for TJ Yeldon. Are these players enough to make you back-to-back champ?
If I knew that, I'd be willing to put this in the bag already. At the end of the day, this mix of players, seen a lot of adversity with the the loss of Decker, the loss of Jeffrey, obviously Michael Floyd not becoming what we expected him to be. But while it's not the strongest team on paper, in a given week, it has as much upside as any other team in the league. So while I wouldn't go so far as to project a victory for myself in the championship, I do think I have the firepower to beat anybody on a given week. Sure,
and speaking of firepower, I got to throw up the X here. You go and have the first ever conditional draft pick trade for Dez Bryant, and he's already put up a touchdown and a good amount of yards this week. How did that conditional draft pick trade go down?
Dez was a guy that came in with a lot of risk, right, especially coming off the early season injury. So when we were negotiating this deal, I got to give all the credit to Jude, who basically saw my hesitance in dealing for a guy I wasn't sure what I was going to get out of and gave me an incentive. At the end of the day, this is a serious league for serious players, and I give Jude a lot of credit as a guy who was more or less eliminated at that point to be able to stand up and make a deal like that really felt fair for everybody.
Yeah, so currently you're at a third-round draft pick, but hey, Adam, you go out and put up 180 points this week. You jump in and win the match. You jump into second, get a bye, and Jude gets a second-round pick already. So hey. Jude is your biggest fan this week.
I tell you what, he is my biggest cheerleader. But I got to tell you, I expect him to compete. He's got a team that has a lot of volatility to it, but a lot of big play guys. And in any given week, that's a team that could be scary. So I'm taking nothing for granted in this matchup.
Yeah. Okay. So you 12 fantasy owners, you guys are excited going into this last week. Almost everyone's still alive. I'm the host of this show. I could not be more excited to see how this turns out. But the fans are so excited. I'm getting tweet after tweet about questions, rooting for people, rooting against people. Adam, a man of your expertise in fantasy football, you got to help me go through some of these tweets. Is that okay?
Hey, nothing makes me happier than to picture some tweets. Let's do it.
All right, good. Okay, so we tried to grab some of the better ones. So let's pull up the first one. This is about Jude.
This is from @JudeFan. We suck again. 1 playoff berth in 7 years. # fire the GM. # fire coach. # burn them all.
So he's got the lowest points for. He's got the second points highest against. He's on a 7-game losing streak. Talk about a Super Bowl hangover. Where does the franchise go from here?
God, the Jude fan has a very legitimate question here. It's really hard when you've come in with such high expectations to rebound off of a season like this. Jude took some risks at the beginning of the year, particularly in drafting guys like Eddie Lacy coming off injury. And, unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. However, I like Jude's approach to the draft. He's always consistent. He's always positive. And I do think he rebounds next year.
Okay. So let's talk about a fan who had a VIP pass to the draft. And this guy tweets out
from @Shets23, first-round draft pick trades, more worth it, Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell?
He was in attendance in draft day. Now, 13 weeks later, he's asking a really good question here. So Bo and Kerens are the two main buyers giving up first-round picks for playmakers from Pittsburgh. But which fantasy owner is the bigger stealer?
Nice. Unfortunately for Bobby, in this particular case, I got to give the nod to Bo. And it really comes down to the position he was in when he made the deal. We don't even know at this point if Bob's going to make the playoffs. He gave up a first-round pick, which in a league that has 24 players typically kept is more valuable than it would be even in a standard draft. So, Bo paid the price, but he's got a core that he knows can take him there, and he's already got a first-round buy. Ultimately, despite the more or less even push in terms of the players and their talent level, the deal itself got to go with Bo.
Yep, I agree. It's more worth it for Bo. He already gets the couple $100 for winning first. If Kerens gets nothing, he just gave away maybe some of his 2017 hopes. All right, so let's go into another one of these. This is from a fan in a different state.
Almost fantasy football playoffs. #Riled. @Tebow4 has this thing locked up. #since 87.
So this guy tweets out he's riled. And he's also saying Bo has it locked up. Is this true? And a second question of that is this the best season of What's Up Hendry ever?
Man, well, I got to first agree that this is without a doubt the most competitive, exciting season of What's Up Hendry. We've never gone into Week 13 with this much uncertainty about which teams are going to represent their cities in the playoffs. All that said, I got to say it's a little bit too early to crown Bo. There's no question that his core is dominant. Gordon, Le'Veon, Odell, Devontae Adams, all of these guys have emerged as true week-to-week difference makers. However, the injury to A.J. Green takes away that top-tier receiving threat outside of Odell Beckham, and I think in a given week, with enough luck, this team can be had.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's start talking about some of these 6-6 mix of teams here. Let's grab this one.
Big faxing Berlin fan. Will be a scary team if we can sneak into the playoffs.
So, okay, good tweet. This guy does always have some magic. Now, if he sneaks into the playoffs, is he have enough firepower with Jordy Nelson and Greg Olsen? He gets a healthier version of Doug Martin and Dion Lewis back. So is Dead Mao Cinco right in tweeting this?
Yeah, I got to tell you, Berzik every year is just a really serious competitor. Plays the league like a real pro. Always manages the wire. Makes savvy trades. Here's a guy I think deserves to be there. Now, when you look at his core of Cousins and Crowder and Olsen and Blunt, you see a lot of guys who have the opportunity to clean up points, especially towards the end of games. I think Berzik, if he sneaks in, is going to be a really serious force, not a guy that I want to face on a week-to-week basis.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's grab this one. And this one comes from former Super Bowl MVP.
How's John's ass taste, Bob? Ha ha! This team clearly winning it all. #best RBs. Zeke, Freeman, #in favor of Tabor.
Okay, so the Delaware Blue Hen rooting for his old pal. He makes a good point. He has great running backs, and Tabor has won 4 of the last 6, but he's playing Swikata, who he's already lost to once this year. Can he get in?
Yeah, I think Tabor really, you can summarize Tabor's season in his willingness to take a risk with Zeke Elliott in the beginning, first-round pick. And, man, I don't think I've ever seen a first-round pick pay off just quite so well as this one has. If you couple that with Devontae Freeman, who really hasn't lost his feature back role even with the return of Tevin Coleman, then you've got Mike Crabtree, consistent possession receiver, and Travis Kelce, who's an upside tight end play. I think Tabor's got a really good chance. Not to mention, you can't count out what looks to be a week-in wide receiver 2 in Tyreek Hill. taking over from Jeremy Maclin in an underrated Kansas City Chiefs offense.
Okay, well said. All right, let's grab this
Dear
one.
Washington Seskins, beat Karens. Hashtag, he's not good. Sincerely, the real TO.
The hatred towards Bob, and this fan is just writing, you're not good. So I don't even know if this is a pro-Washington fan base tweet or an anti, just wait for it. But is Bobby's team just not good?
Yeah, I don't want to go so far as to say Bobby's team is not good. He's obviously he's mortgaged his future to win today. There's no question that Antonio Brown is an absolute difference maker, arguably the top player in the league. However, there is a wily coach down there in Washington who's got the firepower to knock Bob out this week. Bob's going to be sitting at home real upset if, at the end of the day, the Washington Seskins pull it out this weekend.
All right, yeah, I agree. Bob rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I would imagine a lot of people are rooting for the Seskins. All right, so let's pull another one of these up.
Strobe writes, at Scherer Brad, hashtag most points, 30 days till his own name on the trophy, hashtag Lombradi, hashtag Commish.
Okay, so this guy is calling out the fact that, Commish does have the most points, and that's really the goal of fantasy football. You can't control points against, which Brad record reflects. So, Adam, your name is already on the trophy. Is David Johnson and Drew Brees enough to help chisel Brad's name into the Lombradi?
Yeah, I got to tell you, the Commish has endured some tough seasons in recent past, and I think this just might be his year. I mean, he's got the premier running back in the league, and in an offense that's now lost its primary pass catcher, Tyler Eifert is going to represent a massive value to where Brad was able to acquire him. And I think that might be the difference at the tight end slot. Brad is my dark horse to win the league. He's an absolute stand-up guy, really puts a lot into winning, to running this league week in and week out, and I personally wish him the best at this.
All right. Let's grab one that is talking about the Chinese calendar.
Huge YOTL fan. Hope Dakinator's not on the tracks when the J train comes through. Hashtag got him.
He is tweeting out and he's referencing about Jay Ajayi. So can Iger compete without Le'Veon and grabbing Ajayi in the first round pick in the trade he's made?
Look, there's no bigger fan of Andrew Iger out there than me, but I got to tell you, I just don't see it for him this year. Jay Ajayi, solid player that he is, plays on an offense that's highly conservative. And when the run game is focused on, they really don't have another recourse to get him back involved. Hasn't shown for me enough passing game chops to make me feel like he's an adequate replacement for Le'Veon. And for that reason, I don't see Iger making it this year.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping for the best for him, but Gurley has really just been the disappointment for me watching him out there every week on Year of the Liger. So good luck, Ikes. All right, let's grab another one of these.
At the Evil Empire tweets, Bob, it's time to strike back. Hashtag Fleener, hashtag AB, hashtag future 2016 champs. Luck, I am your father.
So this is a rare fan of Karen's, rarer than a Jude playoff berth. Now the once 4-2 Pookie's Cuddle Monsters are now just 6-6. Just wait for it. Looks to be a win and in scenario with his points setup. What do you think about Bob's team entering this last week?
I got to tell you, for all the flack he gets, Bob's a consummate competitor, and this league would be a lot less dynamic without him. All that said, I got to tell you, the coach down in Washington has put together a really solid squad. And even with his premier offensive player on bye, I do have him picked to knock Bob out of playoff contention this weekend.
Wow, that would really get the fans excited going into the playoffs, I tell you that much. All right, so let's grab one talking about the whole league.
Atsa says, let's hear some predictions on who is gonna be the playoff seeds emoticon.
Okay, so a classic play on words here, and forget actual playoff seeds. But give me who gets the short straw.
Looking at this list of guys and looking at the matchups that I see here, I gotta say I fall back on my previous answer. I just don't think Bobby is gonna get over the hump in Washington this week, and I see him falling to the Washington Seskins and being the odd man out in the playoffs.
Yeah, I worry a little bit for Team White playing against Bo this week. I think White does not have a good matchup going into the last week, but we will see. That's why they play the games. All right, one more, and we'll wrap this up.
This is from @PD What are the odds there may be an opening next year? I want in. #Pete Elite.
After such a competitive year like this, I would just find it really hard that a spot opens up. Adam, is anybody dropping out?
Well, I'm sure not. I know we've got a lot of really dedicated league members here. If we put it to a vote, I imagine we'd lose Bobby in favor of Pete. But in this case, Petey Ballbiters, I think you got to wait just a little while.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. Adam, give me some closing remarks. Give some of the coaches some words of wisdom here entering Week 13.
You know, guys, I just got to say it's always a pleasure. This group is special. This league is special. I don't look forward to anything so much as I do at the beginning of the season, draft day, here in What's Up Hendry. So I wish everybody the best of luck in this particularly unsettled Week 13, and I'll see you guys in the finals.
All right. Enjoy holding on to that trophy for a few more weeks, Adam.
I sure will. Keeping them shiny.
Well, there you have it. Thanks, Adam, for being on the show this week. Boys, it is the ultimate do-or-die week of fantasy football. Week 13, last week, your last chance. Almost everybody is still alive, except for Jude. Sorry, bud. I'm Danny Sess, and for the 10th ever time, that's what I'm saying.